Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to NOLA Theater Talk. My name is Alan Smason. We broadcast on the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, on the Facebook NOLA theatercriticism.com page, as well as my own YouTube channel. And tonight we're going to get right into it. We have as our guest AJ Allegra, who is the artistic director of the Petit Theatre, and I should say formerly the artistic director of the NOLA project, and formerly at what was once Lusher School is now the Willow School. In any event, you've been around a bunch. You've been making New Orleans a home, believe it or not, for 20 years.
Yeah,
that's pretty. Now, would you have believed 20 years?
No. And certainly my family could not believe it either. I think that they very much envisioned my visit to New Orleans as a summer,
a flash in the pan.
Yeah. A little summer romance, and then I would come back to my senses. But I never left.
Yes, you got sucked into the vortex, as a friend of mine likes to call it.
Yeah,
but
really.
It's a good vortex to be in, and all I can tell you is it's got a lot of good points. It also has some other points that are maybe not so good, but sure. we managed to do well with the theater community here. It's different than in a lot of other places, and you could probably attest to this. Up in New York, you went to the Tisch School. Up in New York, they don't have a bifurcated theater season due to Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest, right? So
yeah, in fact, where I grew up in Chicago, the Mardi Gras time is probably when most of the theaters do their big heavy hitters, because that's the dead of winter, which is a really good time to produce theater, because that's when you want people don't have much to do because they're stuck inside with 3 feet of snow.
Well, we don't have that problem. We did have a bit of a problem, believe it or not, in January.
We did. It was miraculous.
Yeah, and again, it took a while for that to happen. I see you have your drink. I'll go ahead and share. This is the Balvenie. I got a Balvenie glass from Tales of the Cocktail. So nice. I went to their tasting, if you will. And so I put Glenlivet in it because I don't have any Balvenie. But anyway, cheers.
This is a La Croix with a splash of vodka.
I always enjoy those people who drink clear glasses and always say they're having vodka, and we know all too well it's water. That's okay. So let's get into it. I had asked you to come on tonight to really talk a little bit about your upcoming season, and not to take anything away from what we're going to talk about in a little bit, but let's just go ahead and post up all the shows that you're going to be doing this coming season.
Sure. Starting
off in October, you've got the Lehman Trilogy. That is a regional premiere for our area. Yep. And you're going to end, that starts in October, and you're going to end in June with the musical Once, that also will be a regional premiere in our area. And I've always been amazed that it's taken 13 years for Once to come to New Orleans. Why has not anyone ever done it before?
Well, it's because you have it's a difficult show to cast, because you have to have
a guy who plays guitar well, right?
You have to have 13 actor musicians.
Yeah.
If it were only as simple as a man that plays the guitar, it's 13 actor, singer, musicians that can also handle dialects, Irish and Czech. So,
all right, we're going to get into that. Let's start off with the first of the group, as we mentioned, the Lehman Trilogy. Now, as I recall, in New York, it was a rather extensive number of the shows, were rather long. What are you planning on doing with this? How are you going to be mounting it?
So it is a trilogy in the sense that it's a 3-part play,
right?
And each play is approximately 1 hour in length. So it's a show that will be performed with a rare 2 intermissions, which I happen to love.
I happen to love too. Yeah.
I love a show with 2 intermissions. I find because it makes more of an evening out of it. I
does.
get 2 breaks instead of 1. I really don't like it as much, and I'm guilty of this, believe me, of taking 3-act plays and then finding out a way to just do it with 1 intermission, because then both acts end up feeling very long. But this
Or taking a 2-act play and making it into 90 minutes,
is
which I've seen.
exactly.
You know.
So this is it's a 3-part story. The Lehman brothers are Henry, Meyer, and Emmanuel. So these are the original brothers that emigrated from Germany. They're German Jews, and they come to America with it's the classic American dream story. This is an immigrant story. This is a Jewish story about 3 men that moved to the American South, of all places. I think that because we associate Lehman Brothers Bank in its more modern day in New York, but they actually began in the American South trading cotton. And so, it's these 3 Jewish brothers that come and establish it is not a bank at first. It is it is a textile trading company. And so we get to see the story of the Lehman family over 4 to 5 generations, as it takes us from the pre-Civil War 1800s all the way to the financial collapse of the bank in 2008 in Manhattan. And each of the parts is a specific moment in time. The first
Right.
part is very much leading up to the 20th century. Then we go into the Great Depression, and then we take it basically the rest of the way. And it's all done with 3 actors. There's only 3 actors that portray not only those 3 brothers, but all of their descendants and all of the persons that are, quintessential to telling this story. So whether that be spouses, friends, business relations, antagonists, 3 actors play every role. It's a highly theatrical show. That's really exciting, and we're going to have a friend of mine, Jenny Lavery, who's an Austin-based director who specializes in really highly theatrical stuff. She's coming into town. She's directing it. We have 3 talented local actors. I'm
already cast, I assume.
It is. And I can reveal them. And our production is going to have. I don't know if there's any production that's ever done this. We're actually going to have a female actor playing Henry, which is the oldest.
Oh.
And we have Leslie Nipkow playing Henry. We have Emmanuel is played by Ryan Hayes, and David Lind will be playing Meyer. And so those 3 actors, 2 of which people got to see on Le Petit stage last season, Leslie and David squared off against each other as Father Flynn, or as Sister Aloysius and Father Flynn, respectively.
Right.
And Ryan Hayes has been in multiple productions at Le Petit. Most recently, he was in our production of Beautiful as Carole King's manager, but he's also done The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, as well as Let the Right One In. So it's 3 actors that are very familiar with the Le Petit audience. A brand new director who's doing her first show in New Orleans, and it's a really amazing design team as well.
Was it her idea or yours to go with a female actor for Henry?
It was both of our ideas. When we auditioned a pretty wide selection of individuals. In the script, it notes that the show is not intended, because you have 3 actors portraying dozens of roles.
Multiple,
it encourages an open mind for casting, both in terms of in every form of diversity, age, race, gender. And so, Jenny is very much, she did mention early on, she was like, I would love it if there were an opportunity for, a woman in one of these parts. But we didn't limit ourselves in that way to it. We basically said, let's look at it with an open mindset and choose the 3 best actors in terms of their interpersonal chemistry for the job. And it just so happened that Leslie Nipkow, came in and just gave a phenomenal audition and really, really was quite passionate in her work in the audition. So the solution just kind of presents itself
Yeah.
sometimes in the process.
Yeah. Well, I often wonder whether, if it's the dog wagging the tail or the tail wagging the dog. Sometimes, just
Yeah,
it just
and
depends.
sometimes it is. Sometimes you come in with a very kind of pre-established notion of, oh, I want to have this X, Y, and Z, or I want to have, an actor of color playing this role, or I want to have
Right.
a female playing this role. But this one, we really we went in it with an open mindset, and the 3 actors that we ended up having, it kind of surprised us all.
Mm-hmm. So now, and Leslie, of course, you mentioned was on stage recently with you, but I remember she was in. There was a Southern Rep production she was involved with between 2 couples who had a garden that she was involved with.
Oh yeah, I think that was Native Gardens.
Native Gardens really did a really good job in that too. Yeah, so I appreciate a lot of her work on stage. So that kicks the ball off, as it were, as we were talking about in October, and we have to wait, I guess, until after the new year to have Blythe Spirit. And again, Blythe Spirit, for those of you familiar with the work, Blythe Spirit was a Noel Coward a play that basically deals with ghosts. It's like the Ghost of Mrs. Muir, for those of you who remember the TV show, where the ghost can be seen, but not by everybody, and it makes for some very funny comedic incidents, and essentially, you've got a man who's being haunted by his ex-wife, right? For the most part. And
it's a love triangle involving the dead. I mean, in that sense, it's kind of a precursor for The Death Becomes Her, which is a popular musical nowadays. But yeah, Blythe Spirit is delightful because it's both, well, it's Noel Coward, so it's pithy British people tossing bon mots at one another for a couple of hours in beautiful clothing. And, but it also has the theatricalization, it has the theatricality in that you have ghost effects. So things are flying off bookshelves and, vases are crashing to the floor and, because the whole thing starts with the concept of a seance. It's, they're exploring spiritualism and basically they accidentally bring back, the ghost of Charles Condamine's, ex. And so there's a lot of ways that we can have fun theatrically and delight the audiences. And our scenic designer, Andre LaSalle, is actually he's really into magic. And so he's been exploring all sorts of ways to incorporate magic into the scenic design already. It's really fun to talk with him about that.
Have you ever seen High Spirits?
No, I've not seen High Spirits, but I am aware that was the musicalization.
That's correct, 1964.
Right? Yes. I think it flopped.
It did. It did.
Who wrote that? Who was it? An American?
I think Hugh Martin, maybe. I think that's who it was. I think, yeah. But in any event, I mean, a lot of people, they actually had a musical based on Breakfast at Tiffany's, believe it or not, too.
Oh, sure.
I mean, a lot of shows that did not make it.
Oh yeah. Go to Joe Allen Restaurant in New York and just
let me tell you, I go there a lot.
The shows that you thought, oh my God, they've turned that into a musical.
That wall is famous, But yes, but Blythe Spirit certainly of the two, the most famous of the of the two. But
sure.
I always get a kick out of telling people about it a little bit because it really was not a big musical in any way or sense. But despite the fact that Blythe Spirit was written, nearly 100 years or so ago, right? Mm-hmm. It still holds up. It holds up, yeah. It has a great universality. So, I'm delighted you're bringing that one back. I know it's been here. I think maybe Loyola University did it not that long ago.
I honestly can't recall a professional production of it, at least in my time here. And when, it came to choosing that show, it was such an obvious choice for me that was like a Ricky Graham show. Because Ricky and I are both Anglophiles, and yes. We both share a strong love for, everything from high end to low end, everything from Noel Coward to Monty Python. And so I knew that when we selected this show, I was like, well, this is a Ricky Graham show. He will absolutely deliver.
So is Ricky going to be involved?
Ricky's directing Blythe Spirit.
Oh, very good. Okay, I didn't go into all the directors, but I appreciate you letting me know.
Sure.
And then after January, we've got Mardi Gras, and of course, Guys and Dolls will be the next thing up. Not exactly what I would expect necessarily. That's a an old staple from Le Petit. But
yes, but it is. But look, Guys and Dolls, and I was explaining this to someone the other day. Guys and Dolls is celebrating its 75th anniversary, and that's not why I chose it. I mean, it's nice when you can land on a nice even number like that. Yeah. But Guys and Dolls is a show that came out in 1950 that, like Blythe Spirit, it doesn't require a single word be changed in the script. It does not, the jokes still land. They're not dated. They're not dusty. They're also not offensive or cringy like a lot of shows can be, with the benefit of time. It's one of my favorite shows. I consider it, people say the golden age of musicals kicks off with, there's two camps. You could say that golden age of integrated musicals kicks off with Showboat,
right,
and that then is perfected in 1943 by Oklahoma. I think that the golden age of musical comedy kicks off in 1950 with Guys and Dolls, because I think it is, bar none, it is the best musical comedy that we have. I don't think you get the producers. I don't think you get a lot of other shows that would be considered, hysterical musical comedy. You don't get those unless you have Guys and Dolls.
I'm a big Noel Cole fan, Cole Porter fan. So
Frank, it's Frank Lesser, and so you're saying that.
I mean, I got to go back with Anything Goes too. There are a few shows. Irving Berlin had a few, that were also pretty good. But
I would argue that Abe Burrows told a much cleaner and tighter story. Anything Goes is a funny show, but its story is a yawn. Guys and Dolls is a funny show that you are actually sitting on the seat of your pants wondering how the hell are they going to pull this off? And then when they all go into the prayer meeting and somehow it turns out to be a happy ending, it's actually riveting. So that would be my argument against a Cole Porter show.
Listen, you're talking to a former Nicely Johnson, so you don't have to try to convince me too much. But so Guys and Dolls, have you cast that yet or no? Are you still in process?
We're still in the process of casting. I can tell you.
I mean, I know David Hoover did a great job as Nathan Detroit. I think that's what he did a few years back.
He did.
I mean, there's a lot of people. Adelaide is a role that should, for if there are an actress out there who can sing and act, it's a godsend. I mean, it's a wonderful role for them to run with. So the one who probably gets the short shrift is the Sky Masterson, because he gets basically he can look as good and can sing as much as he wants, but nobody remembers Robert Alda. They all remember Stubby K, and the rest of them. All I can tell you is it's something.
Unless you have a good Sky and Sarah, then you don't care about that. They're the heart of the show.
Yeah. So. Well, they are. So you're still casting that, still there. How many people? Who's going to be doing music for that?
Well, we definitely know that Johnny and I are co-directing.
Very good.
We're still filling all the other, the rest of the positions on the team, but
I bet you I know who she has in mind to do Adelaide.
We're keeping a wide open mindset on it. Obviously, we could each name 10 very talented actors that could do that, but that's something that I want to make sure that it's something that showcases as much New Orleans talent as we can, because it's a great show.
It is going to be set in New York. You're not changing any of the setting or anything like that. Okay, all right. So just making sure.
No. It's set. It's actually set on the planet Uranus, and it's going to space virus. No.
So after Guys and Dolls in March, you pretty much are running right into obviously Jazz Fest, etc. But God of Carnage is going to be, I think, around the same weekend as the opening of Jazz Fest. That was a deliberate deliberate choice on your part, I guess, huh?
Well, the fourth show slot at Le Petit, as we currently have it, is always that's all. It's always a bit of a challenge because it comes on the heels of what is traditionally our big musical, and it also is it has to compete in the cultural landscape that is festival season. So we try we in that sense we're generally going to usually go with a play that is a smaller cast. So, last year we went with Doubt. This year we selected God of Carnage because, God of Carnage it's one of my favorite types of comedies, which is it's but adults behaving badly.
Yes.
Comedy. And there's something real fun to watch in that regard. And I wanted something that, wasn't going to be too heavy or too messagey or too weighty. So I just thought, well, let's do an actor showcase piece where we can get 4 great roles for actors. Also, it's a show that you can have more middle-aged actors. I mean, theater tends to skew young. And so a lot of times, I actually think this season for Le Petit, we actually have quite a lot of great roles for actors, that are on the other side of 40, which is lovely as I myself am entering that phase of life.
But the main thing about God of Carnage is that the two couples are supposed to initially be brought together because of their children, right? That the children have gotten into.
That's right. The whole concept of the play is that they're basically having an off-campus meeting after both of their children have gotten in trouble for a playground altercation.
So you can't have somebody who's in their 60s dealing with their children usually. I mean, so they're going to have to be a little bit younger, maybe in their early 40s, but certainly not in their late 50s, because any parent who's dealing with a child at that age deserves what they get, I guess. So I have to ask not who's directing, because that's still, I think, a question, right? But in terms of God of Carnage, it's been done before twice that I recall. Once JPS did it, and I believe it was done more recently.
Donald Jones Jr. directed it.
I think Gary Rucker was involved in one was it Southern Rep, I think, did it initially.
Yeah, and Ricky Graham directed it at Southern Rep. And so, but it's, and that's not to say, I think there's a reason that plays get done, quite often. And, Yasmina Reza, who's, an interesting, playwright. She's French. I believe she's Palestinian, but she's French. She's lived in France and generally writes her plays in French, and then they're translated by Christopher Hampton. But she writes plays about that skewer the upper middle class quite well. And I think that, and when you think about the type of people that go to a lot of theater, it presents a mirror up to nature in a fun way that allows people to hopefully laugh at themselves quite a lot.
I did a little checking, and Yasmina was born in Paris. Her father's Russian-born Persian Jew, and her mother was a Jewish Hungarian violinist. From Budapest. So not Palestinian.
Maybe I'm thinking. Maybe it was the P that I was thinking Persian. My apologies.
That's okay. No, I kind of thought she was Persian because Reza, Yasmina, Reza, those are all pretty Persian sounding. Iranian names. Anyway, that brings us back to where we had started to talk a little bit about, and that's Once. So again, any idea about the music direction in that? Who's going to be responsible?
I think I've been talking with Ainsley Maddich, who is a musician friend of mine.
Yes.
That has she music directed Stockholm Syndrome for me with NOLA Project, and she's kind of a musical animal. That's an interesting show again because, like I said, you have to have 13 actors, all who play their own instruments
and choreography too. That's involved with that too, because they all move together. Yes. And the other question is will you have a working bar on on the stage, because that's
So-
part of it too.
Well, do you want to know something funny? Is that when you produce once, it comes with a production writer that it calls for certain things to be honored, that the original writers or the original director can put in place. Well, John Tiffany, who directed the show originally, has put in the rider that you may not serve drinks on stage at a bar.
Oh, really?
Before production.
Really, that was such an outstanding part of the show,
I
because at
know.
intermission, everybody would go up and get their beer on stage,
No.
and then
You
the
know,
actors would shoot them off, and you go back to your seats. We're going to start again.
maybe it's just a purely creative intellectual property. Maybe I don't know what it could be, but I do know that our patrons can happily get a drink, but they're going to have to do so at the normal spot.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Tableau, as it were.
Tableau.
I know occasionally they do come up with some drink, specials, etc. That maybe they'll come up with some Guinness or something like that for that particular show.
Yes,
you never know.
I'm going to Dublin next week to do some research. So
very good. Well, I hope you do it very well.
I will.
And,
yes,
I hope you can. I hope you can crawl out of the bars. We only have a few minutes remaining, but I do want to thank you for coming in to talk about your season. And again, you're the artistic director, and Don Scott Cooper is the producing executive director. I guess that would be his title. How far out are you now? You just released this season, but how far out are you all in terms of working on 2026, 27, and maybe further on down the road?
It's already
happening.
Already?
Yeah.
There's already a spreadsheet. The goal every year, and this is a goal, is to at least have a rough draft of a season submitted by around January 1st. So I like to use this time of summer, which is the slowest time. August is the slowest month at Le Petit, because August is the precursor for the season, which kicks off with the Curtain Call Ball, our big fundraiser in September. Right. And then, so I like to use August to do a lot of reading. I've just read a brand new play by a Texas playwright that I'm talking with on Wednesday about his work. But it's a never-ending process, especially if you're in the process of commissioning work. That's usually 2-3 years out. I've been in talks with writers about commissions, but it's something that by the time that the season is announced, and usually April, I've already begun a new spreadsheet for the following season.
Well, we want to thank you for taking time out tonight. Again, we've been talking with AJ Allegra, who is the artistic director at Le Petit Theatre. And for those of you who missed it, we just recapped the entire season. For those of you who missed it, season tickets are available right now. You can go online on lepetittheatre.org and pick up
.com.
lepetittheatre.com and pick up your season tickets. And I guess individual tickets will come out later on in the year. But starting with the Layman trilogy, then followed by Blithe Spirit, then Guys and Dolls, then God of Carnage, and ending the season with Once. And you mentioned the Curtain Call Ball. What's the date for that? So anybody can write that down on the calendar right now.
Friday, September 5th. It'll be a great event. It's our season kickoff. It's a great opportunity to support the theater. And we're going to have performances from a lot of local musical theater performers. And we're putting a focus this year on our education program, because we just finished a really cool show. We just finished a production of Slowpoke, which was a musical that was not only starring the students in our young conservatory, but also constructed and built and crewed and teched by our students in our workforce development program.
So we're going to have to leave it at that, though. September the 5th, Friday. AJ, just stick around for a little bit. I'm going to tell everybody goodbye for right now, but stick around because we have another program coming up with Andrea Watson from the Fat Squirrel Production Company. And for right now, I'll see you at the theater.